in shot. I'm like, sit like that. I'm not remotely comfy, but I think I'm in shot. Hello! I've been trying to film this Q&A for about 2 weeks. Things keep happening, and I've washed my hair, and I'm like, right, the husband's got the kids, I'm filming this Q&A, I'm just gonna do it. Sorry I haven't put anything on YouTube for 2 weeks. I have been doing the Patreon vlogs, but I did plan on doing some homeschool stuff on here as well. But things have just been happening. My husband's mother died 2 weeks ago, so we've got a funeral to arrange and pay for. My husband's grieving. We've got all the stuff here trying to sort through it. We're not moving house now because a woman from the council came to do his house inspection, even though we'd already passed one with a man. Failed our house inspection, rung the local school to see about my kids. When they weren't on the roll, threatened to bring social services on me because she clearly doesn't know homeschooling is legal, and she's coming back on the 8th of December. So I've been looking at my rights on that one, and I've been decorating and cleaning up where I can. And other ongoing stuff, so I'm doing what I can for you, right guys. So where's it? I screenshotted him. Right, so here we are. What's your biggest tip for home educating with a newborn and 4 other children? I have got a video that isn't that far back, which if I remember I'll link below, but if I don't remember, it's not that far back, giving tips on how to home educate with a newborn. Because my youngest he's just turned 1. But my biggest one is probably baby wearing. Baby wearing saves your life when you've got a newborn, because you still feel close to the baby, and the baby's still getting that closeness from you, but your arms are free. You can still do everything you need to do. That and just chill out. I think because there's a 4-year gap between my daughter and my baby, for that first couple of weeks, even though I know the drill, I felt the pressure, like, I'm not Superwoman, I can't get this and this done, oh my god, my kids can't get a note done. Don't matter. That newborn stage just goes like that. Just enjoy it. If you get something done, you get it done. If you don't, you don't. But it's one opportunity to sit down and do lots of reading, or sit down and watch lots of documentaries, or counts as homeschool. How did you and your husband meet? We met in a beer off. Not what it sounds like. It's called Booze Buster. My mum used to work in a beer off, and me and my friend went in. I had my hair to here, and it was straightened. I had these massive silver earrings in, and I had a coat that belonged to his mum on, and it was like some kind of floor length Chinesey type of thing. I think it was a dressing up one, but it fit me, and because I'd recently lost weight, I was like, oh, it fits me, so I'm going to shop in it. And my husband used to go in the shop on his way home from work, and he had dyed platinum blonde hair at the time and all earrings, and my mum thought his name was Carl and she thought he was gay. Neither's true. Anyway, he come in, or was he already in? No, he come in. Me and my friend was in there talking to my mum, and we kind of stood to the side when my husband come in. My husband got served. I didn't notice, but my mum and my friend will back this up, that my other husband was like, when he saw me, he was struck. And even now he'll be able to tell you everything I was wearing, right down to the shoes and the earrings, when he first saw me. And he left, and then he texted my friend and said, who's that girl you're with, she's fit. And I wasn't interested. But eventually we got it together. But yeah, that initial meeting, I weren't interested. But I think the fact my mum thought his name was Carl and he was gay didn't help either, because his name's not Carl, it's Gary, and he's not gay. But anyway, so that's how we met. Do you worry about the children's futures, careers, etc., and if you're making the right decision? I've been home editing for 12 years now, and I still wake up panicking in the middle of the night once in a while. I think it's normal to worry, but that's just part of motherhood, that's just part of parenting. If you weren't worrying about them in some way all the time, then you're not a good mother, because that's part and parcel of it, worrying. I expect my mum still worries about me, and I'm 35. It's part and parcel of the game. So I am always worrying about them. And I did have a wobble a couple of weeks ago, because my oldest is dyslexic, and I did think, oh, if he was at school, would he get the support? And then you talk to people whose kids are in school, or people who've took their kids out of school because they didn't get support, and that isn't the case. He probably wouldn't get the support. But that's a wobble I did have. But as far as careers and futures are concerned, I'm not remotely worried. They're going to be fine. As long as they've got life skills, and they know who they are and what they're about and what they're comfortable with, and they... That's what I'm saying. And they can do anything. You don't have to decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life when you leave school. A friend of mine's been a carer since she left school, and then all of a sudden she's 37 now. All of a sudden she decided she wants to work childcare. She's gone and done courses to get the qualifications to do that change in career. So just because they have a career in mind at the end of school that they've trained for doesn't mean that's what they're going to do the rest of their lives. As long as they've got the tools to think, right, this is what I want to do, this is how I go about it, I'm not going to let anybody, any naysayers or whoever, stop me, they can do anything. And as long as they're secure in who they are as people, they're going to be fine. So I'm not worried about that. Plus I'm so proud of my children. There's a lot of things I like doing or I want to achieve that I'm quite mediocre at. And I was thinking the other day, you know, I wanted to do that, not achieved it, wanted to do that, not done very good at it. But I'm so proud of my kids. Like, even if I fail and mediocre at everything else, I'm so proud of my kids. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. They will. But in the beginning I did have a lot of wobbles. I'm a lot more secure in what we're doing now than I was at the beginning. After you mentioning 24 Hours in the Past, my daughter absolutely loved watching it. What other history programmes or resources do you recommend? If you don't know, 24 Hours in the Past is a documentary series. It's 4 episodes, I think. Found it on YouTube. It's got a few celebrities. One of them's Anne Widdecombe, and they live 24 hours in each episode in a different Victorian setting. Like, one's the dust yard, one's the workhouse, that's interesting, one's the coaching inn, and the other one is the potteries, and it's really interesting. And we've just finished watching Time Crashers. That's on YouTube as well. It's a Tony Robinson one, that one, but that's celebrities again, but different ones. One of them's Fern Britton and one of them's Keith Allen, who I'm in love with. But anyway, theirs isn't Victorian. They live 24 hours or a couple of days or whatever in a different time period in each episode. So one's like a Stone Age one. Iron Age one, sorry. One's Victorian ironmonger, one's a medieval feast, medieval joust, Georgian farm, and there's a couple more, I can't remember. And there's loads of documentaries. We're going to watch 1900 House next. That's a modern day family who go to live in like a slightly middle class Victorian lives for a couple of months. They do a lot of whinging, if I remember right, the family, but it is entertaining and it is educational. Then after that, I think we're going to watch the 1940s House, which is a family that goes to live as in World War II for a couple of months. My mum watched one called I can't remember what it's called. Oh. I can't remember what it's called, but there was a whole group of modern day families, and they went to live in like a mining village, and it was set during World War II. Oh, my mum will be able to tell me. It'll come into my head soon to come off it. There was an Edwardian house one as well, where some people went to live as the rich people and some people went to live as the servants. That was interesting. I'm going to try and find that as well. I like documentaries like that, where it's modern day people put into that time period. And they're really educational and entertaining. Horrible Histories is a good one as well. And we also like watching dramas, but I tend to put on the older dramas, period dramas, because one, they're more accurate, and two, there's not generally anything shock value in there, and three, I've normally already seen it, so if there is something coming up that's inappropriate, I can just fast forward it quick because I know it's coming, or I can think, yeah, that's okay, they can watch that. So we've watched a lot of Catherine Cookson, and while we're watching it, we've discussed, you know, the social attitudes at the time, the difference in attitude, speech, what they dress like, considering what class they are, things like that. Yeah, there's loads. There's loads, my love, but try that. If you like 24 Hours in Past, try Time Crashers next. What books have you got written? What books have you got written? I knew that question would come in, so I've got them here, look. The first book I've got, it's a little one, so it's not a lot of money. It's, I want to get it from a shot. It was Home Educating the Mad Lads, Our Journey to Home Education, Our Homeschool Life So Far by Victoria Musson-Jones. It's a lot of vintage blog posts from when we first started homeschooling and first started my blog, and mixed in with why we started home education and how we feel about it, well, how we felt about it then, and just trying to, it's the kind of thing I do now, but when we first started, mini one. My other home education book, which has just come out, so I haven't got a physical copy of it yet, is called the Homeschool Handbook. The Homeschool Handbook by Victoria Musson-Jones. That's kind of like pink to here, and then it's grey. I've been serialising the book on Patreon, but it is actually out now. And the Homeschool Handbook, this was kind of our journey, but the Homeschool Handbook is more of a factual one. It's all those frequently asked questions about home education, the law on home education, and explaining different terms and styles of home education and what they mean. And then last one is To Gale by Victoria Musson-Jones. It's a novel, and it's a beast. It's a beast. But the only problem with this is I spell Damien with an A right until the last 3 chapters, and then all of a sudden I spell it with an E. Don't know why, but other than that it's fine. It's called To Gale. It's adult fiction. I've worked really hard on it. I'm really proud of it. I'll read you the back. But Teresa Taylor is the main character. The rest is just subplots. So it's mostly about her. Teresa Taylor is in her 20s, but after years of an alcoholic twice her age, she feels anything but young. When she moves in with burlesque dancer Carly, they find a shot glass at the back of the cupboard with Gail engraved on it. Who was Gail? Surely she made a better job of her love life than them. She seems a great person to toast when they have a drink. They're like, to Gail. Teresa's brother is gay, but has never plucked up the courage to come out to his parents. Now his long-term partner wants a baby. That's Damien, who I suddenly changed the spelling of it. Michael vanished years ago on his way to Oxford to become a hotshot lawyer. He returns living on the road in a converted transit van, a completely different person. Teresa's mother is outraged at the idea of a van lifer in the family, but has problems of her own. Finally, RJ is a knife thrower. Teresa takes shine to, but what is he hiding? RJ, the knife thrower, I went to see a burlesque show when Beanie was a baby, and there was a knife thrower called AJ James. You might be able to find him, his professional profile on Facebook, AJ James, and that's who he's based on, because I was all very taken with him. There was in the audience. Right, I wasn't, sorry. How do you deal with it when your children say I'm bored? See, I think most of the time we have things planned or we're doing stuff, but I think occasionally it's good for kids to get bored, because that's when they get creative and they go off and do something, or they make a game up or something like that. Plus sometimes in life you have to be bored, you have to learn to be bored. I never take electronics or anything like that in waiting rooms, because I think sometimes in life you have to learn, sometimes you have to be bored, sometimes you have to sit and wait and be bored. And same as if you're on a long journey, If it's a really long journey, my husband might download a film on the tablet for him to share, but that's after at least the first hour of the journey. Because I think sometimes your best ideas come in your head when you're daydreaming out the window and you see things out the window. So like, but in general, day to day being bored, I just say go off and find something to do then. Very boring people get bored. Go off and find something to do. But that's only if they're being, bored. If they come to me and they say I'm bored and they're not actually bored, it's just the fact of the others have all got a friend round and they feel left out, or the thing the others are doing is too hard for them or too rough for them, or just not what they're into, then I might say let's come play Play-Doh with me then, or come and do this with me then, or come and do this with me then. But if it's bored as in they're just moaning, I'm like, what else to do then? How did you juggle home educating your other multiple age children with the little baby in the early days? We've already had this one, haven't we? But like I say, baby wear, and just take your time with it, and just think, what can we all do together that's easy? Things like that. How do you deal with family members who are against home education? Well, I talk about this in the Homeschool Handbook, so I'm probably more coherent in that. The thing is, when you first start home educating, family members are allowed to ask questions and they're allowed to voice concerns, and for a certain amount of time at the beginning they're allowed to annoy you and perhaps behave slightly badly and stuff because they don't understand or they don't know about it. But if a family member is consistently dragging you down, sticking their oar in, telling you you're wrong, really upsetting you, you're allowed to say, look, we're home educating, that's the end of it, can you stop doing this? And if it gets to a level where that becomes toxic, like I know one person who their mother-in-law started saying, let's play school when they come round, and started doing them tests and things, and going to other people and saying what workbooks can they do when at my house and stuff like that, and that's overstepping it, but only a bit. But then again, I know somebody else whose family really overstepped it. They rung social services on them. See, I wouldn't have spoke to them ever again. Ringing the people who have the power to take your children away from you, I wouldn't be speaking to them ever again. But they do, you see. So you've got to decide where the line is for you, where you think, right, that's it, and where you think you can put up with it. But if it's a case of you'd hardly ever see these people, say like you only run into them once at Christmas or family gatherings, funerals, whatever, and they're a little bit make a few annoying comments, a few annoying questions, then just put up with it, because the thing is, you're not going to see them people very often. Are you really bothered about their opinion? And also, your children and yourself are going to come across people who are like that, and it's a good chance for you to show your children how you react to that, and how to show your children that you're not bothered about that, you're not going to let it upset your day. And the other thing I'd say is, sometimes showing them a celebrity that does it works, and that might sound daft, but my mother-in-law was against it, and the mother-in-law has just passed, and then all of a sudden Nadia Swahala on Loose Women was home educating, and all of a sudden it was fine because the celebrity was doing it, and that sounds daft, but celebrities have to clout. So my other tips are, don't let it bother you. You have nothing to prove. Don't be like, when they come round, look what we've done, look what we've done. Little Tarquin, come and read to Auntie so-and-so just to prove that you can read. And pardon me, well, look at this and look at this. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do it. If they care about you and they are a family member and they are not an arsehole, eventually they will see that this is your way of life. It's working out for you and your kids, and they'll keep their mouth shut even if they don't agree with it. But if they're the other end of the spectrum and they're doing your head in, just don't see them. If you're over 21, you don't want to see somebody, don't see them. And then if they get toxic, cut them off. That's my thingy. But they are allowed to voice concerns. But the thing is, there's voicing concerns and then there's beating you over the head with it. If they don't shut up about it and it's going on and on and on and on and on, or they're saying outright to your child, you're going to be thick, you're not going to get a job, da 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 da. Or if they're saying to you, someone on a homeschool group the other day said that her family had actually said to her, you're not smart enough to homeschool your kid. That's not good. Even if you take home education out of it, that's not good to be saying to your daughter, is it? You're too thick to do that. No, you don't need that. You don't need that. Family, you love them, you hate them, they're welcome, whatever, but you've got to protect your family. You know where the line is yourself. And if they care about you, and you say to them, look, this behaviour is upsetting me, this is what we are doing. We're not asking for your permission, but we would like your support. And then they still carry on, then... Anyway, I hope that we're alright, my love. I've rushed a little bit, but that's because I'm meant to be washing my hair, not doing anything else. Then the minute the husband's going to come upstairs and say, what are you doing? What are you doing? So I'll see you next time, my loves. Hopefully when everything's settled down a bit, I'll be able to put more on YouTube. I need to get this art inspection out of the way and get rid of this councilwoman. Hopefully, then I'll be able to put more on actual YouTube. I am keeping my Patreon up, but be warned, if you do sign up for my Patreon, you will see lots of shots of me looking rough as hell first thing in the morning whinging. Oh, my back. My back itch. Mwah.